Right, Ethan, you want to get started?
Sure. Hey, Courtney, just another week. Y'all get some games at home. Just where do you feel like the team is at coming off this past weekend, heading into a slate with, a lot of really quality teams coming into town?
Yeah, I think our team's in a good spot. We haven't seen them yet since the weekend, so we'll really know where we're at when we get into our training session today. Coming out of the weekend, I thought it was obviously a successful weekend when you leave any weekend 5-0, but I thought we learned some valuable lessons. I thought we continued to show different ways to win. I thought Sunday was a battle. They battled elements. They battled another team that just kept throwing punches. We battled ourselves at times, and we outlasted a really good Northwestern team. And so I'm pleased with the character that revealed. There's some things we need to fine tune from that, and we'll hit that pretty hard this week. But I think we're looking forward to being home again. I think we're looking forward to the slate that we have. It's a really tough weekend, and a weekend that's going to continue to challenge us, a weekend that's going to continue to prepare us um, for the long haul. And I think we're really looking forward to the temperatures because last weekend was cold. That Sunday day, it was really cold. So we're going to have some nice weather and hopefully have a packed bogle with some sunshine.
Want to focus in real quick on Brantley Bain. Of course, we heard a lot about her before the season started, and she's been, I'd say every bit as advertised, through the early slate. Has it impressed you? I know y'all were all super high on her, but has it impressed you even, what she's been able to do this early in the season?
Yeah, absolutely. It's impressed me what she's been able to do. And you have to say it impressed you too, because no matter what I said and what I tell media, I think that uh for her to perform and for her to be as productive um as she is, I think that's going to open a lot of people's eyes like, oh dang, I mean, I know Coach Deifel said something about that, but like this is really special and you can't not look at what she's doing right now and see that she's a really special player. And so as much as I expected from her, I would say maybe she's surpassing that even in this short amount of time. And I had really high expectations for her, but she's playing at such a high level and um it's not a surprise. I mean, everything I said before about her, like she works so hard. She's so intentional about what she does. She is not going to get outworked by anyone, and she's going to make sure she is prepared for anything she's going to see. And so it's really cool to see that play out in a game setting.
Yeah, and I'll end on this one, just focusing on another freshman, Sailor Timmerman. She's been really good this early in the season. What's made her, what's she doing so well out there as a freshman to come in and have these type of outings, leading the team in ERA right now?
Well, I think for her, she just trusts her stuff. I mean, she has elite stuff, so I think that's the starting point of it is like her stuff's really good. And then I think that she has a lot of confidence in that. And then when you have the defense that we have behind you, it only fuels your confidence even more. And you have an offense that's producing a lot of runs. And so there's just so much freedom that each area is getting to play with. And that's really huge for a freshman pitcher that, is figuring out this level and navigating that. So I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I think number one, though, she has elite stuff and she has a lot of confidence.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Kyle?
Hey, good morning, Courtney. You talked about just the craziness of last week. I mean, you had a little bit of everything. You had run rules, you had the close matchup on Sunday, you had cold, you had a little league home run. But the second straight weekend, speaking of defense, like you just alluded to, the second straight one that you didn't have an error committed, as I guess the first weekend was the last time that happened. So now it's not anything new. Razorback softball and elite defense, but now you're top two in the country. And again, of all the craziness, especially on Sunday, not a single error committed.
Yeah, I think we have the best defense in the country. So it's what we've come to expect. We don't expect perfection by any means, but we play a high level of defense and um, we have tremendous defenders. So I think it still surprises me, I guess, to go through a weekend like that with all the elements. And and not have any. And I do think that there's still some plays we could have made, like there's, but I think it's a really good combination right now of our pitchers taking care of business and our defense just handling the ball really well, and they're really feeding off each other really nicely right now.
You talked a lot about how hard Carly Davison's been working throughout the offseason to come back from that injury. And what she's doing right now, to me, just looking back from her freshman year at Utah, I know she's been with DJ longer than, any player on the team, dating back to their time at Utah. So her hitting has improved. But, even though she's known as a defensive second baseman, she had some struggles early in her career. But you just look at each year, you see the development. And I think that that's like something perfect you use in recruiting and those type of things. So I know y'all have preached about developing players or your whole staff has. So just talk about what she had a breakout weekend and has really had a great start to her senior year.
Yeah, I mean, I would put our development up against anybody in the country. We have some stats that we can send you later. Could, if you want some reading materials. But yeah, I think that KD, it is really great to see what she's doing right now, considering her journey, considering being out this fall. Like, she had an off-season surgery, and so just being out this fall and observing and growing when you can't be on the field, and then when it's time to go and you get the release of just going. Like, this break, when she got the release to go full, she didn't take a day off. And then even still, like, starting the year, and she still felt like in January and starting the year, she still felt like she had some catching up to do because she missed the fall, and you miss a lot of that game experience, and you miss a lot of that live at bat experience to where you're getting to like really work through what you're training. And just for her to stay the course too, of like just having a really good perspective. I think that's something that you can always gain from being out. And I think she really gained that this fall is the perspective of the highs and lows of the game, and just letting the game come back to her, and just knowing that her prep was enough. I so much of it is mindset. And so, yeah, she's a tremendous defensive player that considers herself a really big offensive player. And a lot of that is what she's doing right now too.
Yeah. And last one for me I was going to talk to you about the Little League home run there. I know you had mentioned it in the post game, and there wasn't a ton of clarity other than just what the umps had said to you at that time. Did you get any more information on that? I mean, I know it was just a crazy sequence of events, but have you gotten any more clarity on that in the last couple of days?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I didn't go back and watch it. I kind of turned the page and started getting ready for this next weekend because we have quite a slate. But
Understandable.
No, I haven't. I haven't gotten a report on replays. I don't know that we do in the non-con. And so it's tough. It's a good learning experience for us too, because there's just a sequence of how things went that we need to learn from, of like, if you're going to put your hands up, then you can't touch the ball until they see it. And so there's just a lot of learning experience. Obviously we were on the right side of that learning experience. But no, I haven't looked into it more.
Got it. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Eric?
Coach, good to talk to you again.
You?
It's been a few weeks now with a tough schedule so far. What did you learn about your group that you didn't know going into the season that you needed to know playing other opponents?
Well, I think that we actually got to learn some really valuable lessons in weekend one. And I think that as our staff kind of projected who we are, and who we were going to be, I think we saw some of these things as like, okay, what is this going to look like when this happens? When we aren't flowing, what is it going to look like? And who's going to step up, or what are we going to do? And so it was nice to learn that lesson in weekend one. And as you're coming out of weekend one, you're like, please learn the lesson, please learn the lesson, and let's change it, because it's inevitably going to happen. And so I like to see the adjustments that our teams made in that regard of, when we played Virginia in weekend one, we didn't make the adjustments we need. We didn't trust the plan as much. We didn't, a lot of things that every team goes through. And what they've learned and how they've adjusted since is what I'm most proud of our team. Not that we had the hiccup, but how we've responded to the hiccup.
I just spoke to Mike. Mike Hurd, the Omaha head coach for the podcast, and he talked about one of the things he's excited about coming to this tournament is, he looks at what you've done with Arkansas as a blueprint for what he's trying to do at Omaha. Courtney, who I spoke to in December, is trying to said similar things in her return to Arkansas about what you've been doing and trying to model after what you and Coach Rittman have been doing at Arkansas and Clemson. What does that make you feel when you've got coaches that are coming to your tournament and say, man, that's the model that we're trying to be or build our program like your program?
Well, it's really nice to hear. I have a combination of like emotion and chills. Because I think when you coach and you're building something that you really believe in, and you're so in it, you don't necessarily look at anything other than like, how are we going to be better? What do we need to do? And so when you have people that aren't necessarily in your network taking notice and mentioning it as a blueprint, it's incredibly flattering. It's incredibly flattering, and it's a huge compliment. And so I have chills and emotion. And ask me another question, please. Thanks.
All right, this will be a little more stressful. You usually play a tough home tournament before SEC play, so this is nothing new. But yet, this is the marquee tournament in the sport this weekend. When you look at the resume, Omaha ranked number 1 in the D1 softball poll up until this week. You got Charlotte in the top 10 in the D1 softball mid-major poll. Boise State just beat Stanford. They're ranked in the poll. Kansas is playing good ball. It goes on and on here, Coach. Just talk about this field. When you look at Matt Mike, are you kind of sarcastic, like thanks, or are you like, what's it like? No. Right. But talk about this field. This is a stacked field.
It is a stacked field, and it is a field that is going to challenge us. It's a field that's going to prepare us. It's a field that is going to build our resume. And I think that I obviously I say it again when I'm looking at this weekend looming now that I shift my focus to it, but I said it early when he was like, oh, here's our tournaments. I was like, oh, wow, that's a doozy. Thanks. Okay. And then you see these teams doing what we thought they were going to do. And you see, their systems and who they have back. And, Omaha, we played Omaha 2 years ago, and you could just tell that they're built to be successful, and it's only, built off of that since. And so you're looking at what these teams are doing, and we know it's going to be a challenge. So yeah, do I look at Matt and say that a lot? I say it a lot, but when he kind of put the schedule together, it was like, okay, all right, this is what we need. This is what we need. We need challenges. We need to learn lessons. We need to prepare ourselves for the long haul. And this is going to be a huge challenge this weekend.
Kyle? Next question? Anybody?
My bad. I was
You're good.
sorry about that. So I got a couple more here. On the slate this weekend, you've got a couple of continuing to talk about that. I got a couple of former Arkansas prep stars. Caden Stafford at Kansas, of course, won a couple state championships at Bentonville with Casey Wood. Allison Edwards at Omaha from Mansfield. Is there any time that y'all play them, just against kids that maybe your players played against in high school, travel, or whatever it was? Is there already maybe some fun competitions between them, or is it just kind of y'all are sticking to your business and that's it?
Well, we stick to our business for the most part. I think in our game prep, it's always there's always another layer of conversation but in an informative way. None of us ever we just want to take care of business and focus on us, but it's always nice. We have players from all over. So a lot of times when we get into the video room, they also know these players from Texas or from Arkansas. And so I think there's the appeal of bringing the Arkansas kids home. There's a huge sense of pride, and it's really awesome to get to bring them back and they get to play in Bogle. And, but no, I don't think there's any, extra competitive pieces other than just really wanting to take care of business and play our game.
Most definitely. And last one I have, talking about Rob, and just obviously another phenomenal weekend for her, getting her third career no-hitter. Based on the analytics, she is getting more swings and misses this year, utilizing her rise ball a little bit more. And so what has been, without picking into your brain too much and giving too much away, what was that, maybe something that y'all have that maybe you and Parker, when he came back on board, that y'all altered, that Rob maybe came to you and said, maybe I need to change this or that? What has kind of led to, I mean, again, as phenomenal as she was last year, I mean, she just is continuing that, and maybe even better now.
I think it's just one, we work really well together, and so kind of adding Parker back into the equation and just having another piece that just knows Rob really well, and you just feel so comfortable and confident in that. And it's another year of Robin being really confident, and I think we are seeing the best version of Rob physically and mentally, and she has worked her butt off for that. So it is not me or Parker, it is Robin. It is her really trusting her stuff and knowing that her stuff is better. Her stuff is good enough, and just throwing with such conviction. And so it wasn't necessarily sitting down and saying, like, this is what we're going to do. It's just always fine-tuning her craft and making her feel really confident in that.
Dudley?
Hey, sorry, I was having some technology gremlins. Riho has done a wonderful job coming back and obviously had a big hit the other day. Just talk about how much fun it is to see her playing healthy.
Well, yeah, she's always so fun to play. She's so steady. She's so steady. It was such a huge hit for her the other day. I think that the thing that no one ever gives Tal enough credit for is that she has a lot of aches and pains. Like she has, and she just always plays through whatever she's dealing with, and you never know. Her body gives her a lot of fits, and you just would never know it by how she takes the field every day. And you can't keep her off the field. And so I just give her so much credit, because there's a lot of these players, they never feel 100%, but she never does, and she fights through it, and just always plays at such a high level. That home run the other day was so big for us and such a big moment, and you could like feel it building. And that's Tal for you.
You talked about the competition. Do you enjoy the 4-day weekend tournaments? Or is 3 usually enough, or how do you feel about that?
I love competing, so sure, I'll take another day. I love game day. I love watching our players compete. I love lining it up against other teams. I love playing in the weekend more than midweeks. So yeah, I'll take a 4-day tournament weekend any day, any week.
All right. See you Thursday.
All right.
Ethan,
Can I hop in with one? Yeah. Sorry, this is a big time, like 30,000-foot question, but I'm just curious. I've been asking people, what makes the athletes that you coach now different than the ones that you coached maybe even 5 years ago? Like what's kind of wired different about today's athletes?
I think that the biggest thing is, well, there's a number of things. I think fundamentally they're the same. They're the same. They want to be coached. They want to be their best. They want all those things. They're highly motivated. They're, all of those things. I think that they are more accustomed to the technology that we have. And so I think they need to see more, and they need to feel more and see how that shows up with their body. And so coaching them that way is different. And then I think the biggest thing is they're dealing with so many outside opinions. And so what they're juggling now compared to what we were juggling with our players 10 years ago, or what I was juggling when I went through it, is so different than what they're going through now. And I think that's really hard. I think that's I don't think we give them enough credit for what they balance with social media, with just having more eyes on them and people feeling like they have access to them. I don't think we give our players enough credit for how they handle that.
Quick short follow-up on that. Then what do you think it says about your team? You talk about that stress that gets added on them with outside noise and whatever, that it seems like they really know how to somehow bring a lightheartedness to the field, like with just, how they react with each other after big plays, et cetera. Like, how do you think that your athletes have combated maybe the stress to where they can keep things so, it seems like y'all are very in-house with how you don't let a whole lot get in there?
Well, we do, but we're not perfect, and no one is. And it's tough. Like if I could, I would say let's turn it all off for the season. Like, let's turn off social media. Sometimes we have to turn off parents' opinions or like there are so many contributing factors. I think that our players specifically do a really good job of leaning into each other and celebrating each other. And knowing that they're in it together. I think that that's the big thing is of wanting to be their best for their team, but also knowing their team has their back, and they're going through the same battles, although it might look a little different. And so I think it's just continuing to be a safe space for everyone and being supportive of each other through the good and the bad.